So one of my favorite cruise ship activities is hitting the casino to test the fates. Now, I've been going to casinos for a long time, and I tell you what, I love it. It's one of my favorite leisure activities. I love the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, the highs, the lows, the social aspect, the complexity of some casino games. It scratches a lot of proverbial itches in my brain. And I tell you what, I think one of the reasons I am so connected to the cruise life is that there is a casino component to it, and I know I'm absolutely not alone. Hey, in today's episode, I thought I would share with you some of the games that you can find in the casino on a cruise ship, and then take it one step further. I'm gonna tell you which ones of those games would be the best to learn if you wanna minimize the risk of losing all your money when you're testing the fates. In today's episode, we look at cruise ship casinos, and we give you some tips on what to play. Hey, what's up everybody? Tony with Lido Loca. Welcome back to the channel. Well, I guess today I'm gonna wear the hat of the casino host. If you enjoy that cruising content, if you love that cruise life, consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of our content. So yes, as the casino host, one of the things I can do for you is I can tell you the different games that are here in the casino on the cruise ship to play. Now, the games are gonna vary based on cruise ship and cruise line. I'm gonna highlight the ones that you're probably gonna find on most cruise ships, and if I feel like something's not as prevalent, I'll call that out. All right, number one, you could not think about the casino on a cruise ship without talking about slot machines. Yes, these are the bread and butter of most every casino. They've got the lights, they've got the noise, they've got the touch screens, they've got the fun games. This is the easiest, I think, game for people to sit down and play. You just put your money in and start pushing buttons. Probably the most accessible form of gambling is the slot machine, and I would say it's probably the most popular form of gambling at land-based and on the cruise ship casino. Number two, you're definitely gonna see Blackjack on most cruise ship casinos. This is one of those hardcore staples when it comes to gambling. Think of any movie that you've seen gambling. For the most part, you're gonna see slot machines and you're gonna see some sort of blackjack table. It's a very common thing to see in a casino, and most everybody understands the concept of blackjack, a card-based game where you're trying to get 21 without going over. You're definitely gonna see blackjack on the cruise ship. Number three is a pretty prevalent game when it comes to casino gambling. That's a dice game. It's called craps. And it would be hard to go into a casino in Las Vegas and not be able to find a craps table. And you would think that that would translate over to cruise ships. And for the most part, it does. I've found craps tables on 10 of the 11 cruise ships that I've been on. So there is some exceptions. The MSC Seaside did not have a craps table, but for the most part, craps is a staple game when it comes to casinos. Number four, another one, to me, these are the big three: blackjack, craps, and roulette. Roulette, of course, a game with a spinning wheel and a little ball that bounces to and fro, making people's dreams come true or their nightmares realized. It's not hard to spot the roulette table in a casino. It's usually accompanied with a big digital tote board that tells you what the last number that hit was. And it can be a pretty social game. Roulette, a big spread, big table there in the casino, and you're gonna find that on most cruise ship casinos. Another game that you'll see a lot in many casinos, both on land and at sea, is three-card poker. This is another game that's been around for a long time, a card-based game with some sort of poker rules. Concepts like pairs and straights and flushes all come into play when it comes to three-card poker. This isn't regular poker. This is a variation that's made just for the casino, and it's played at a similar table to blackjack, just with some different markings on the table, but a fairly common game to find on a cruise ship casino, three-card poker. Now, this next game is kind of new, but again, they've taken a standard and they've modified it a little bit. This is Ultimate Texas Hold'em. There's been kind of a boom over the last 10 or 15 years when it comes to Texas Hold'em. More and more people have been playing the actual poker game Texas Hold'em, and so it only makes sense that you would see some sort of variant make its way to the tabletop in the casino. This is an interesting game. I've only played it a few times, but it does mix the concepts of Texas Hold'em poker, community cards, again, poker hands, and a betting system that if you hit it right, you can win really big. But an interesting variation of Texas Hold'em for those people that like to play poker. Ultimate Texas Hold'em, I've seen it on a few cruise ships. I guess since we're talking about poker, let's talk about poker tables. Texas Hold'em is something that you can find on a cruise ship. It usually comes in one or two varieties. When we were on the Celebrity Equinox, they had a traditional Texas Hold'em poker table, which would require a dealer to deal you the cards and also for you to bet and get paid in regular casino chips. And you don't see that much on cruise ships. What you see more often is the digital version of Texas Hold'em. It's still shaped like a Texas Hold'em poker table, but no dealer, and everything happens digitally. So you put your money in almost like in a slot machine. You get virtual chips, virtual cards, but you still sit right across from somebody and try to take their coin through battle there with Texas Hold'em. You do see that a lot. Many cruise ships have Texas Hold'em tournaments where you can win on the cruise that you're on and potentially play in a larger tournament down the road. Round out the idea of poker, closely related to the slot machine, is video poker. All the concepts remain the same. You put money in like a slot machine, but you're trying to make poker hands. It can be a little more strategic than just a regular slot machine, but you can still have some of the appeal of the slot with the noise and the bright screen and really the ability to not have to interact with anybody. Some people find that to be appealing with the slots, where you can just sit and focus on your gambling without having to have the social interaction. And video poker is another way that you can do that. And the last table game that I want to mention, this one I saw primarily on my cruise on the Royal Caribbean Spectrum of the Seas when I went to Asia. It's Baccarat. Now, the casino on the Spectrum seemed like it was open 24/7, so I didn't get to film in there at all, but I tell you what, every time I went through there was a crowd around the multiple Baccarat tables there. It's a very popular game, at least in Asia. I know it's a popular game in Europe, and I believe that was the first cruise ship that I've seen it on, so you might run into Baccarat on a cruise ship. Now, if dealing with the slot machines or dealing with the table games are not your speed, there are a couple arcade-type gambling machines in many casinos. The one you'll probably be most familiar with is the coin pusher. The coin pusher, you take some coins, quarters, you drop them in the top. Hopefully that the coin pusher will push quarters out the bottom. It's a little hard to win a lot of money that way, but it's a super good time. The coin pusher on a lot of cruise ships. Another one that I've been seeing a lot is this Keymaster money game. It's almost like a crane game at an arcade, except you're manipulating this plunger, this thing that's going to push forward, and you're trying to line it up and push money off the ledge down into the collection spot. I've watched a lot of videos on this game, and you got to get lucky to win this one. There's only a few times where the machine will pay out, and you got to be the person that's doing the pushing at the time, and you still have to line the thing up right. So interesting. I've seen people win money on this, but it's few and far between. And then finally, many cruise ships will have a scratch-off gambling option. You'll buy these from the cashier at the casino, and these work just like any scratch-off you would get playing the lotto. If you have lottery in your state or where you live, this is just going to be a card that you can pay money for and test the fates by scratching off the front of the card, and hopefully you've got the lucky card that has some sort of winning combination on it. So you can do a scratch-off on the cruise ship. Another way to get your gambling fix, maybe even when the casino's closed. But all these casino games are not created equal, and if you're like me, you want to have a good shot of not losing all of your money quickly, and so it may pay to learn a game, to learn the strategy of a game, to find a game that has a low house edge, that's the terminology, and learn that game so that your money lasts longer. In the long run, all the casino games are set up for you to lose. And so in a perfect mathematical world, if you played until infinity, the casino would win and you would lose. And so as a gambler, what you're hoping for is to streak. You're hoping to catch a streak where you win and you are cognizant enough of the streak to take your money and run. And so one of the things that you have to do to get to the streak is to play a game where you don't lose all of your money right away. So here's a list of games that you could learn to play that's going to minimize the amount of money that you're giving away to the casino. The number one game that gives you the lowest house edge, or the house has the lowest edge against your money, is single deck blackjack. Now again, you've got to learn the ins and outs of blackjack to take advantage of this mathematical probability. But blackjack's one of those games where you can learn some basic rules. And again, if you know when to watch for the streaks, or if you can recognize the streak, you could actually win some money at blackjack and minimize your losses. You can sit at the table for a long time with some basic blackjack strategy because the house edge is mathematically low. The edge against you is mathematically low. Number two is craps. It's the hot dice game. Now, the craps table has a lot of bets, and some of those bets are horrible, and some of those bets really go a long way to minimizing the house's advantage against you. I learned how to play craps really conservatively years ago, and that's why it's my favorite game, because I can take some money to the craps table, and on most times I can play for a long period of time. Now look, I'm not getting rich, but I am there getting those fun interactions, those social interactions. I'm getting the highs and the lows of the game. I'm getting to throw the dice. I'm getting to throw the chips around. I'm getting to interact with people. And I can do that for a good period of time based on the game that I play, because it has a low house edge. The house isn't that much stacked against me. In the same vein, you can go to the craps table and pick some of the worst bets in the casino and throw all of your money away in a couple rolls. And so craps is a great game. You only have to learn a couple bets, and if you learn the right couple bets, you can really minimize the house edge against you. 3 on the list is Baccarat. Again, I don't know much about that game, how to play it, but the odds are pretty good, and I believe this is why that game is popular in Europe and Asia. In casinos, you always see it packed out. This might be one I want to learn in the future, just to have another game in my arsenal, but a good house edge against you on Baccarat. Number 4, another table game we've seen on this list, 3-card poker. There's strategies that you can play out there to minimize the house edge. Number 5 on the list, a poker-based game, video poker. There are strategies there, betting strategies that you can learn to make more time for yourself at the casino, lose less money. And then rounding out the list is roulette. Now, you notice slots aren't on the list. Again, there's so many variables that go into slots, especially slots that aren't necessarily regulated in the same way that they are in land-based casinos. The casinos on cruise ships, they don't fall under the same regulation as the United States or Europe land-based casinos. And so there is some leeway. Again, slot machines are all computer-based that can be manipulated, and it's not the same amount of rigor when it comes to reporting out what the payout is and all that stuff. There's a lot of, kind of myth around the cruise ship slot machine. Some people will tell you that the slots are loosest, will pay the most on day one because the cruise line wants to entice you to gamble more. But I've seen people hit jackpots on day one, and I've seen people hit jackpots in the middle of the cruise, and I've seen people hit jackpots at the end of the cruise. I love watching people play the slots because there's tons of superstition, there's rubbing the screen, there's all kinds of techniques. But from an edge perspective, from a house edge perspective, it's very easy for the casinos to make sure that their slot machines are paying out. And so if you're playing slots, for the most part, you have to play with the mindset that you might most likely lose that money, and just to have a good time while you're doing it. So cruise ship casinos, do you like to play? What's your favorite game? What's your strategy? Did you realize all these games were available on cruise ships? Leave a comment below. Like I said in the intro, the cruise ship casino is one of those things that really draws me to the cruise life. It's really one of the reasons why I think cruising is the best vacation. I did a whole video on that. If you want to know why I think cruising is your best vacation, check that video out. Thanks so much for stopping by. This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, good luck, and we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.